right, let's get started. I'm going to go through the editing process just to get started editing your travel show. I'm using one group's project here, but it's going to look very similar for the other groups too. First thing you'll need to have is you'll have to have the hard drive, the shared hard drive that we use. It's called VFTV. It's the one that you get from the equipment checkout room. That's where I will save all of your footage after you're done filming it. The other thing that you'll need to have is the VSOT, the voiceover that your presenter will record. So that's one of your presenter has another job. After they've filmed, they record a VOSOT. I have told them to just email it to the members of the group. So you'll need to find an email with that VOSOT, download that. You can probably just download it onto your computer, and then I'll show you how to get it onto your hard drive. So you will start with actually having two hard drives plugged into the computer. So this one is mine. Mine's called Casey, 2025. And inside of your own hard drive, you can see all of my files here. I've got a bunch of different things. The way I organize my files might be different than yours. I do use, instead of icon view, I do use list view. And then I have a folder on here where I save the students' footage. It's just called student submissions. But maybe you want to make a different folder, call it your travel show or the place that you went or something like that. But make a folder with a name on your hard drive. If you don't know how to make a folder on your hard drive, again, you just open up your hard drive and go to File, New Folder, and you can go ahead and make a folder with, call it travel show, your name, or something like that. Like I said, I'm just going to go into, I have this saved my own way, for my grading and whatnot. But I've got an empty folder here, and then keep that open, and then double click on the VFTV hard drive, open that up. It's the Travel Des Moines folder, and I'm using this group's footage, Jack, Mariana, Peyton, Taylor, and just drag and drop it into your own hard drive. Shouldn't take super long. While you're doing that, you can go ahead and also go into your email and download the VOSOT that your presenter sent to you. And then you also are going to need to add that to your hard drive. When you save the VOSOT, when you're using one of these computers and you save that file from an email, it's probably going to save it. It's not going to save it onto your hard drive. It's probably going to save it onto your computer's downloads folder. To find that, just go to File, New Finder Window, and if I click here on Downloads, you can see I've got a bunch of things here, and one of them is the VOSOT that Jack recorded. Now I'm going to wait until this is done doing its transfer. It's a bunch of footage here, but I know I've got that VOSOT here, and eventually what I will do is just drag and drop this again just into my own hard drive. The other thing you can do while you're waiting is you can just boot up Premiere. So I'll click on Premiere down here. If you don't see Premiere down here, you can use your magnifying glass and just start typing in Premiere 2025, and that is booted up. For you, it might take more time. And again, if you need to log in with your Adobe ID, just remember that you used your Grandview email address for your Adobe ID, but you might have made a different password. I'm going to go ahead and hide this and wait for this to finish up its getting started here, because I can't make my Premiere project until I have everything I need from this hard drive onto my own hard drive. So I can sit tight here for a second while this gets everything moved over. All right, I've moved that footage over, so I should have, I've already just set it up into a 5-folder setup for you. So what you can do is take this VFTV hard drive and you can just right-click it and choose Eject. And after you've done that, you can unplug it from the computer and please return it to the equipment checkout room so the next person can get their footage and get started. I've already organized it into a 5-folder setup for you. So you have audio, exports, graphics, media, and projects. Now, exports, graphics, and project are all empty. Audio has some stuff in it. One of the things it has in it is a document that was a transcript from the interviews and stuff, and the other is just an audio file. I'm going to take this VSOT that you downloaded for your email, and I'm going to add it to this audio folder. You need to make sure that everything you're working with when you're working with Premiere is something that is on your own hard drive. You're not working with something that's only saved to the computer that you're working on, but it's saved to your hard drive. That way, if you needed to use a different computer, all you need to do is plug in your hard drive, go to a different computer, and it'll be just fine. All right, let's go to the Premiere project. Let's make a new one. I'll click on New, and let's call this project, I'll call it Travel Show Your Name, and then click on this drop-down and choose Location. And then to get more locations here, I click on this arrow, which gives me more options. Of course, I'm going to my hard drive, and I'm going to find that folder where I saved. It's in my 5-folder setup, and it is in the Projects folder. Click Select. I don't need to use a template, and I'll just go ahead and choose Create. Now it has this like import mode with a bunch of other stuff here. I can just skip this, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Now, this is my kind of standard setup how things are. This is how I want you to have it set up. So up in the top left, you should see a source panel. On the top right, a program panel. On the bottom right, a timeline panel. And on the left, bottom left, a project panel. If you see other panels that, like extra panels that are there that you don't want to be there, you can always just click the little sandwich icon and choose Close Panel. And remember that these are set up as tabs. There are all the workspaces you can use, like Window, Workspace, and the one I always am using is Editing. That's the workspace I'm using right now. All right, I need to add my media. I need to add stuff to this. So I'm going to click on my Finder, my blue face guy, and first I'm going to add my audio folder down here. Now it's going to give me a warning about that Word document. It says I can't save that in Premiere. That's fine. I have my audio folder here, and I'm going to use this list mode instead of the icon view for right now. Then I will go to my media folder. Same thing, drag, drop, and done. Now I'm going to make a sequence. I'm going to actually make a folder for sequences because I'm going to use more than one sequence. So just click in the gray anywhere here, and if you right-click, New Bin, I can make a bin and call it Sequences. And now I'm going to actually make a new sequence. I'm going to go to File, New, Sequence, or just Command-N. I'm going to make this sequence from scratch. I'm going to choose Settings, Custom. It's going to be 23976 frames per second. Frame size will be 1920 by 1080. I can ignore everything else down here except for the sequence name. And I'll call it Travel Show, KC, and then underscore cut 1. Make sure you put that in there. Okay, I've got a sequence. It's a blank sequence. It has nothing in it right now. I'm going to click and just drop this into that sequences folder. And there's nothing in this sequence right now. And I want to add some things. The first thing I'm going to add to the sequence is actually not video. The first thing I'm going to add is my VOSOT. I'm going to go to my audio folder here. I've got 2 audio files here, but this one is clearly labeled VOSOT. I can just click and drag it. I'm going to drag it into the second track down. And there it is. If I click play, or if I use my spacebar, I can listen to that. Now I want to see this a little bit larger. It's not very tall. I can't see those waveforms very well. First thing I can do is I can use my wheels to zoom in here. You can also just use your backslash key. And then I want to make this taller. I can just move my mouse between these 2 tracks, click and drag down, and I can see those waveforms nice and big. And actually, if I don't need to see all these other windows, if like the only window I need to see is this one right here, if I type the tilde key on my keyboard while this is selected, it's going to make this the only thing that I see momentarily, which is kind of nice. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out all this empty space. So these are the spaces between what Jack said for his VOSOT. You can tell that there's spaces in between because of this empty space right in here. I will go ahead and move my playhead right about here. Then I'll type the C key on my keyboard. That will turn my cursor into this cut tool. Click on the line there. I'll move my cursor over to here after he's done saying that. Cut. I'll do another one over here and cut. Make sure you don't actually cut out any of his words. Right, so don't get so close that you cut over something. If you goof and you cut, too far in, you can just Command Z to undo that. And I'm just cutting out these bits of the Vosot, these nice little chunks here. Then I'll type the V key on my keyboard. It turns my cursor back into a pointer. That allows me to click and highlight these bits and just hit the delete key to delete them. All those empty spaces are gone now. Now I'll hit the tilde key on my keyboard. I can see everything again. And there is my Vosot kind of all cleaned up and cut up into these neat little segments. Now let's listen to this. I don't know if you can hear it very well, but let's listen to it.
A small shop in the East Village of Des Moines, Garrett Cornelison, an Iowa native, is making his...
Ooh, I think I might have cut off a little bit of what he said.
A small shop...
I think I did. I saw that cut off where he said at, maybe.
A small shop in the East Village...
No, okay. Forget about that.
A small shop in the East Village of Des Moines, Garrett Cornelison, an Iowa native, is making his mark, running a shop of curated vintage clothing and antiques, all while keeping Des Moines boring. That's right. You heard me correctly.
Okay, so that's the first part of the Vosot. Now, what we're going to see while Jack is saying this, obviously, is we're not just going to see a blank screen. First, I'm going to cut out this little bit of empty space here. I can move everything over if I just click in this empty space, right-click, ripple, delete. That'll move everything over. So the first thing we'll hear is Jack talking. What's the first thing we're going to see, though? First thing we're going to see is going to be some B-roll. So let's actually take a look at our B-roll. It's in our media folder. And we have 4 different folders: Camera A, Camera B, Camera C, and Stand Up. Now, this is actually a time where I kind of want to see these folders instead of drop downs. I kind of want to see them as their own tab right here. If I double click on a folder, I can see it as its own tab. And then for that tab, for this time, I like to use icon view. I get a little preview of the video. So it looks like the Camera A folder only has 1 clip in it. It's from the interview. I can go back to this tab. Let's see what's in Camera B. I can move these around too so they're in order. Again, I'll use icon view and I can see all of this B-roll that's going to show up. And if I hover my mouse over it, I can actually kind of see a little bit of a preview of what's in that clip. And if I double click on it, I'll see a preview of it in my preview panel up here, and I can listen to it as well. Let's see what's in Camera C. I like to move these so they're in order. And again, use this. And I can see all these clips here, all this various B-roll. And this is where you kind of can make some creative decisions about how you want to go about the beginning of the video. This is where you can really kind of get creative. It looks like we have some creative shots of the owner kind of stepping in and out of this place. We've got some fun things going on here. Probably what we want to start with for this opening VSOT is some B-roll that's going to establish us in the location. So I'm not going to look really closely through, but maybe an exterior establisher shot, maybe something like this. I like actually going from this to this, or from this to this, or from this to this. So let's see, what's in this? Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, so we're going to start with, I'm going to start with this one here. Double clicked on it. I can see the whole clip, and you can see it's about 7 seconds long. Now, if I don't want to use the whole thing, here's what I can do. I can move my cursor to where I do want this clip to start and just hit the I key on my keyboard. And what I've done is I've told Premiere I only want everything from here to here. And if I don't want all of it, if I move my cursor over and then choose the O key, I'm telling Premiere, hey, I only want this much. When you drop this into my sequence, I only want this much. Then I can just click and drag and drop this into my sequence. Just make sure that you're not dragging it so that the audio covers up your VSOT audio, because it will delete that. So move it over like this. And then I might bump this up so I can see it a bit better. And let's take a look.
A small shop in the East Village of Des Moines, Garrett.
Now, again, I might not need this clip for super long, so I might just shorten that. Just a couple seconds there. When he says Garrett,
Garrett Cornelison.
Maybe I want to see Garrett. Maybe I want to see his face. So I want to find a clip where I can see him. Now, I know that I could see him in this clip, it looked like. So let's see this one where there's like one where he steps into the shop. Is that him stepping in? I can't tell if that's him or not. Let's see if I've got a shot with Garrett. Here we go. Garrett doing something. Awesome. I'm going to use this clip here. I'm going to I there and O there, click and drag. I don't need the whole thing.
Garrett Cornelison, an Iowa native, is making his mark.
Cool. So after Jack says making his mark, I might have a different clip show up. This is where I'm going to be a little bit less careful here. I'm just going to pick a few things here. This is where you get to be creative and kind of figure out which clips you want to use. I'm just going to use this one, cut this up. What I'm trying to do is I am just trying, in terms of the length of the clip, I'm trying to use the clips that sort of match with the VOSOT in a certain way. So kind of in these pauses that Jack makes in his VOSOT, that's a good place to transition to another clip. Listen.
A small shop in the East Village of Des Moines, Garrett Cornelison, an Iowa native, is making his mark, running a shop of curated vintage clothing and antiques.
Clothing, maybe after he says clothing, maybe that's where I should where he's about to say antiques, I'll throw in a different clip. And I don't need the whole clip, so I'll just do I and O. And even then, it's still a bit too long.
And antiques, all while keeping, he says keeping, so that might be where I want to throw in something else. This nice little tilt shot could be fun. I'm just kind of I and O'ing it there. Boring. That's right. You heard me correctly.
All right, and that's where Jack says boring. Again, this is where you can be creative. You can choose your own clips here for B-roll, but again, the goal is we're trying to establish viewers, so we do need an establishing shot, something of hopefully the exterior of the place. And I think I didn't do a very good job here of finding an interior of the place, like a wide interior. So if he has a wide interior in here somewhere, maybe this one would be a better one to use than the one that I chose. But trying to find a wide interior, a wide exterior, and if you mention the person's name, get their face in one of those opening shots, like this one has his face, and a few other things that you can kind of choose based on what seems to make sense for you. Now, one thing I'm going to check on is I'm going to look at my the clips themselves. Some of you might film some of your footage in 4K. So I don't know how much of this footage is in 4K. I know that if I look, for example, this clip of Garrett and that one here, I know that's right, but I could, you can go to sequence settings. Oh, I'm sorry, not sequence settings. You can click on a clip, go to effect controls up here. And if you don't see that, you can just go to window and choose effect controls. And if I can scale this clip down, then I know that it's a 4K clip, but it looks like it's not. So I'm just going to keep it at 100. But if you shot some clips that are in 4K, and again, your sequence is in 1080, then you might have some clips that are actually larger than your frame here. And if that's the case, you can simply click on them, go to effect controls, and scale them down. If they're in 4K, you could scale them down to 50%. So they fit in your 1920 by 1080 frame. Okay, so I've done my opener. The next thing I'm probably going to want to see is actually going to be the stand-up. So I'm going to take these VSOT clips and move them over a little bit, and I'm going to find the stand-up. So it's this other folder here called stand-up. It's a few clips. I don't know which one.
I'm Jack Timar. I'm here.
Looks like there's a couple ones.
I'm Jack Timar. I'm here at the Dust Collective, where Garrett Cornelison is trying to keep Des Moines boring. A shop of curated vintage clothing and antiques. This is arguably the place to go to get your style up. Let's head inside and see what all the hype is about.
Okay, that's cool.
At the Dust Collective, where Garrett Cornelison is trying to keep Des Moines boring. A shop for curated vintage clothing.
Okay, so we have a stand-up here. I'm going to use this first one here. I like the way it looks. And I can just simply drag it and drop it. Now this one, this stand-up that they did, had the audio already like built into it. So they used the big camera with the audio inputs, so they didn't have to do any synchronizing later on. If you do your stand-up with audio off camera, then you're gonna have to grab your stand-up and also grab your audio, something like this. And you would right click and synchronize that. And that's what you would have to do if you don't use the big camera for your stand-up. But these guys use the big camera that has the audio inputs. They recorded in 4K. You can tell because I don't see the whole clip here anymore. So I'm going to click on this, go to Effect Controls, go to Scale, and just scale this down 50% so I can see the whole clip. I could scale it up a little bit, and I could move it around if I want to. If I like this framing better, you can kind of choose your framing. As long as you're not going above 100%, it's going to look fine. Now we're not worried about sound mixing for your first cut. Your first cut does not need to be mixed perfectly in terms of sound. So if the sound is off, if some stuff is too loud and some stuff is too quiet, we're going to fix that for the final cut. But we have our opening VOSOT, and then we have our stand-up. Now, I just noticed that a lot of what Jack says in his stand-up is very similar to what he said in his opening VOSOT.
I'm here at the Dust Collective, where Garrett Corneliuson.
That is maybe not ideal. It might be ideal for your stand-up to say something different than the opening of your VOSOT. But in this case, I'm just going to let it go for now. And then I'm going to move this next bit of the VOSOT over so I can start doing more B-roll. So let's see what this looks like.
While keeping Des Moines boring. That's right. You heard me correctly.
I'm Jack T-Meyer. I'm here at the Dust Collective, where Garrett Corneliuson is trying to keep Des Moines boring. A shop for curated vintage clothing and antiques. This is arguably the place to go to get your style up. Let's head inside and see what all the hype is about.
Okay.
Today I had the chance to sit down with Garrett and get an idea of the magic behind the fabric.
Okay, so now we have a clip here of Jack saying, today I got to sit down with Garrett. Again, let's go to our camera A, our camera B. Maybe I've got some footage of Garrett doing something. Maybe we have footage of like some BTS footage of Jack and Garrett talking. That might be useful footage to put in here. I'm just going to grab this footage of him using the sewing machine and throw that in there. I'm going to do some really quick ones here.
Today I had the chance to sit down with Garrett and get an idea of the...
And we'll do one more. I like this detail here. These hand details are really nice. That could be really fun. Let's see what that.
Today I had the chance to sit down with Garrett and get an idea.
Now you can see the sound is way off, right? Because the sewing machine is really loud. If you want to make these adjustments now, just to make it easier for you, if you zoom in a bit and make the track a little bit taller, you'll see this horizontal line. If you hover your mouse over that, you can turn that down, and that turns down the amplitude, or turns up the amplitude of the clip that you're looking at. Now it looks like what's next is the tricky part, is the interview. So they filmed an interview. Here's their interview right here, camera A. I think they did a B cam for their interview, but if they didn't, I know they also recorded the audio separately. I'm just checking to see if they did a B cam for the interview. They might have only used the one camera. Let me see, and that's fine. You can do that. You can just do a single camera interview. So it looks like these guys just did a single camera interview, which is totally fine. But if I click on their footage and take a listen, here's what you're going to hear. Nothing. So they didn't have audio going on the camera, but that's okay because they were recording the audio separately. It's going to be just fine. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take this bit here and I'm going to throw it in its own folder here, in the media folder. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it interview. So I got a folder called interview. I'm going to take this camera A thing and throw it in interview. I'm also going to take this. This is the audio that they recorded from the interview. If I double click on it, you can listen to it.
What brought you to Iowa?
I'm going to drag that onto the interview as well, into that interview folder. So I got a folder with two things in it. One is the interview footage. One is the interview audio. Now, as you can see, the interview footage doesn't have any audio in it, but it did have a slate. As you can see Peyton holding here, the slate. I'm going to use that to synchronize because I also can hear the clap of that slate in this audio recording somewhere. I'm going to have to visually do this. So here's what I'm actually going to do for this one. I'm going to right click and I'm going to make a new sequence from this clip. So I've got another sequence here. The sequence is just a bunch of numbers because that's the name of the video file that your camera created. I'm going to rename this sequence. Right click rename and call it interview. I'm going to take this audio and drag it underneath. And now I really need to zoom in for this, and I need to make this audio track quite a bit larger. I need to try to figure out which one of these waveforms is that clap. So I'm actually going to make the video invisible for a second so I can just listen and find where is that clap.
Awesome. Check.
We're good. Check, we're good.
Cool. Awesome. You want to say your name?
This sounds like it's probably, that sounds like that's probably the clap right there. Good. So I'm going to zoom in on that. Now I'm going to make my video visible again. And I want to try to find, and I'm actually going to go ahead and cut right here, right before that clap. So I don't need any of that other stuff. And let's try to find the clap. I'm going to go ahead and mute this for a second so I can just focus on the video. Let's find, okay, let's find the point where Peyton does the clap. I'm just scrubbing ahead a little bit at a time. I'm waiting for it. There it is. That must be it right there. Right there, that moment must be the clap. Okay, so I've got that. I'm gonna move this over and zoom in some more. I'm getting this so it's right on that clap. Now I might have to turn off something called snap. There's a feature called snap right now that's useful sometimes. I might have to turn that off. It's this little magnet thing up here. If I click on that, we'll turn that off. It'll give me a little bit more freedom in how I move this around. But I want that clap that's in my audio waveform to be right over where Peyton does the clap there. Let's see, and let's take a watch. Let's listen and see, does it sound right?
Awesome. You want to say your name and what this is?
Yeah, my name is Garrett Cornelison, and you're in the Dust.
Oh, we've got a couple different snaps. Okay, so I got the wrong one.
So, talk.
There we go. That's the snap I'm looking for. Faked me out. Okay. That's the clap that I'm actually trying to line up with. All right, let's move this over here. And again, I'm just visually synchronizing. This is why it's so useful to have that. Okay. Let's see if that's right.
Awesome. You want to say your name and what this is?
Yeah, my name is Garrett Cornelison, and you're in the Dust Collective.
Love it. So, talk a little bit to
Now you can finesse this, and if it doesn't quite look right, you can move this over one frame at a time. So if I feel like, ooh, it's like not quite on the click or it's not quite synchronized, I can move, one frame at a time, either one direction or the other.
And what this is?
Yeah, my name is Garrett Cornelison, and you're in the Dust Collective.
Okay, but let's say that we like the way that looks. I can turn snap back on. Then I'm going to use my cut tool. I'm going to go ahead and cut right there, and I can cut out all of that. I'm also going to zoom out and move my playhead over here and just cut out the extra space over here. Now I'm going to, I really don't need this empty audio track from the interview. So I can right click and choose unlink. And then I can just remove that empty audio track once I select on that. Then I can highlight both of these, right click, and link them. And now they're together, as if they were recorded together.
Like, oh yeah. Because I think it has this small town. It's a big little city, and I think it has kind of that attitude.
Awesome. So there is that there. That's my interview. Now you might have noticed if you're looking at the, we're going to do one audio mixing thing here. You might have noticed that when you look at the interview, one bar is going up more than the other.
Or I guess
So the one on the right is like louder than the one on the left. That's because there's two microphones on him. There's his lav mic and there's his shotgun mic. We can choose actually to just have one be kind of the main star of the show here. Which one is doing the most work? I'm going to right click and go to audio channels. And if I want it to be I think it's the lav mic to be in both ears, I would click RR. And now you can see they're both identical waveforms.
So keeping Des Moines boring, I think some people sort of
And if I like the way that sounds, I'm good. If I want to do the other one, if I can go to audio channels and make it so it's the shotgun mic instead, I can do that. And that will be the shotgun mic instead. I think I'm going to like the lav mic audio. I think it's the lav mic better, so I'm going to keep it there.
maybe see as an insult.
And now I have my interview here. The whole thing is set up, it's synchronized, and it's ready for me to add parts of it to the travel show sequence. Remember this guy? So we've got our opening VOSOT, we've got our opening stand-up, we have a little bit of an intro, and then we're going to get to a clip of Garrett talking. Now there is a transcript that's in your audio folder that has the whole like interview. You can read the whole interview, and what may be a really good idea here is actually, instead of listening through this whole interview, which you can definitely do, you could simply click on this and just open the interview just to watch it or just to read it, and pick like what's a really great bit from this. And you even have the timestamps here that can help you out. What's a really great thing that he said here that's relevant to this bit of VOSOT right here that Jack put in?
Chance to sit down with Garrett and get an idea of the magic behind the fabric.
So what's something really impactful that Garrett might have said? What's maybe the highest impact quote that he might have said from this transcript? Very similar to what you did with your multi-camera interview. Something that you really want to emphasize first, and finding it in your transcript, then finding it in your interview sequence. I'm going to pick a random one.
It was really challenging, but I moved back here after living and working in LA as a photographer. Anecdote, it's obviously a very different market that I was shooting out there.
I'm going to pick something he says that's interesting.
It's just, there's a quality there of the old stuff that I just love. And
I love that quote. There's a quality of the old stuff that I just love. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my cut tool.
It's just, there's a quality there.
And I don't need all that. I just want to say just that precise quote that he said.
It's just, there's a quality.
Right where he says, that's what I want. I'm going to cut that out.
There's a quality there of the old stuff that I just love. And so I've always had an appreciation for that. And I started collecting.
I'll just do this.
There of the old stuff that I just love.
I just want that quote. There's a quality of the old stuff that I just love. That's all I want. Just want that little bit right here. I know it's going to be disappointing. You have so much in the interview. We do not need big chunks, right? I might just pick a chunk right here that's really effective. I've got that chunk there. I'm going to click Command C to copy it. Go to my travel show sequence here. Move my playhead over here. Make sure that these other VSOT pieces are far away. And then Command V. Now I have this little bit of something that Garrett said. And it's going to transition really nicely, I think, from the VOSOT here. So let's take a listen.
Today I had the chance to sit down with Garrett and get an idea of the magic behind the fabric.
There's a quality there of the old stuff that I just love.
There we go. Have that him saying there's a quality of the old stuff that I just love. If I want to have another thing that he said, I can, but I only have the one camera. So if I have a different thing that he said, here's what you can do. Let's see. Let's find a different thing that he said.
Then I moved back here, and I personally think needed. So, yeah. So, slightly controversial, just because sometimes people don't always get the joke. But if you've traveled anywhere throughout the country, Portland, keep Portland weird, keep Austin weird. Cities kind of adopt these slogans, and I didn't think Des Moines was that weird, so keeping Des Moines weird didn't fit. But I love Des Moines, and I think I can say this because I grew up here. But there's a slower pace to Des Moines, and having traveled all over the world, I kind of like it. I honestly appreciate that it's a slower pace here.
So I'm trying to pick a place from the interview where he says something about the old clothing here, because that's what we just referred to in this one here. It's going to take me a while to find something precise. So I'm just going to grab something random again. I'm just going to cut this bit out. I know it's random. Command C, Command V. Another random thing he said. Maybe some really insightful thing about old clothing. I'm sorry I didn't get to precisely pick it. Now I have two things that he said, but it is like kind of a jump cut. It doesn't look very good, like it's moving forward in time. But the nice thing is, because you recorded the interview in 4K, I can make this not a jump cut anymore. So I'm going to take the first clip, just going to highlight it. This is the first clip where he's saying something. Go to Effect Controls, Scale. I can scale this back to 50%. So the whole thing fits in frame. And then for the second thing that he says, right here, I can actually make it kind of a close-up. I'm going to keep it at 100%, and maybe I can like move it over a little bit like this. I'm just using my mouse and clicking and dragging.
Love oldest there of the old stuff that I just love. Oldest original buildings still standing in Des Moines, and I think sort of paying homage to that a little bit.
Okay, so then that's one way you can go kind of back and forth. If you only had one camera, but you filmed in 4K, it's like having two cameras because I can go back and forth between these two angles without losing any quality, as long as you're not going over that 100%. So I've kind of got you started. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to let you kind of creatively figure out what makes sense for you. But generally, this is the idea. So we go from interview to VOSOT. When we're listening to Jack's VOSOT, we're looking at B-roll. So we pick some B-roll clips to happen in here. Then I move this over. I pick another thing that Garrett said that's interesting, and I throw that in this space. Doesn't need to be super long. And then I go back to the VOSOT, throw some B-roll over that VOSOT so we're looking at something interesting. We go back to the interview, throw some interview footage in here, and you can see how this is kind of a back and forth between VOSOT, interview, VOSOT, interview, VOSOT, interview, and then the VOSOT, I think, kind of closes it out.
A community for all people from various backgrounds and cultures.
And that kind of can be what closes it out. You kind of probably are going to end with some sort of establisher or maybe something creative that you want to do. Now I'm going to show you, I didn't finish doing this whole thing, but I'm going to show you what's next for exporting. So when you're ready, when you feel like you've got this kind of put together, you do not need to have the sound put together. You don't need to have any graphics. You don't have to have done any color correction. What we're doing right now is purely structural, just getting the structure of this thing together. It should be a complete video from start to finish, just not polished yet. So it doesn't have to have the polish, but it does have to be structured the way you want it to be. We're going to go ahead and export it as cut number 1. So we'll go to export. It should be called Travel Show Your Name Cut 1. Make sure you click on this text right here and make sure you're saving it in your hard drive. It should be in the exports folder. Click save, and then you can simply click on export right here. Once you've clicked on export, there will be a folder in our Blackboard page. If you go to, the shared files in our Blackboard page, find fall 2025. It's going to make me sign in. And it looks like I need to go ahead and make a new folder for you here. So I will go ahead and make a new folder. I'll call it Travel Show First Cuts, and I'll go ahead and make it orange. Okay, your Travel Show First Cuts can go right here. Travel Show First Cuts, take your export. Once you have an export, I don't have an export right now, but once you have an export, it should be in your exports folder. Just simply drag and drop it onto here. Don't move away from this window until it's done exporting. And then for the Blackboard assignment, it's in week 13. Find the assignment, find First Cut, and here is what I'll have you do. I already know that the video is in that shared files folder. Just go to upload files and please upload the Premiere project. So go into your, again, find your 5-folder setup. For me, it looks a little different, I know. And find the project, the Premiere project. Please save that via Blackboard. That shouldn't be hard to save. It's a small file. And then click submit. And that is submitted. Good luck. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you put together.